and welcome to Note to File, a clinical research podcast.
A collection of interviews, candid commentary, and general nonsense for the clinical research community.
Check us out at notetofilepodcast.com.
And now, without further ado, on to the show.
Hey guys, welcome to another Note to File podcast. How's it going, Denali?
It's going pretty good. It's been a busy week. How about you?
What is today? Today's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
How can you say it's been a busy week? It's Tuesday, dude.
I mean, I had a conversation with someone on my team today. They're like, so if you don't want to take this meeting, that's fine. Your schedule's kind of, really, really busy. I was like, that's what I'm here for. That's what my job is. But yeah, it's been too many meetings, I think. So
Your job is to do meetings. Let me get
yeah, that's it. Just doesn't matter what it does. Just meetings.
Yeah,
No, it's just been busy. Yeah, been busy.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I've been off to a good start. Hung out with Oliver from Gleam yesterday, who came into town and showed our team how to use Gleam. That rhymes. And I did that on purpose. It was cool. We'll have him on sometime here in the near future. I think it's interesting sort of e-source to EDC plugin that makes life easier.
How often do you have vendors on your site?
I was talking to him about this yesterday. Like there was a period last year, I think, where I feel like there were a lot of vendors coming out. I'd have someone reach out every month, a couple of months maybe, to want to come by, and I always feel weird because like I always want to say yes and always like have them see like what happens at a site. Part of the problem is I can't like make my coordinators be like, hey, just have half a day available to like talk to a vendor or whatever. So they just kind of have to see how the day goes. But I feel like it's gotten less recently. We have like less people trying to come out to sites. But if you're listening and you work for a vendor, go to a site, just check it out, see how they work, and go to a bunch of them because they're all different.
Well, and that's the thing is like on our team, we like our solutions consultants was like, yeah, I want to go out and see sites. And so set up a bunch of different meetings, is bringing product managers out, and they're just going to see what sites are doing. And I think it's incredibly valuable. I mean, that's one of our first, like when I first got into the industry, like back in my Forte days, that was part of the onboarding. Like you would go to a site. It didn't have to be a customer site, but just like understand if you haven't worked in a research site and you're designing technology or supporting sites with a technology, you need to understand what the fuck they're doing. And so you can't just like sit in a closet and design it and be like, this solves your problems if you don't actually know how research sites work.
Well, and I think it's yes. And I think it's weird too, because, we talk about how there's no standardization in clinical trials, but that even applies to like operationally. There's no standard. There's no like one way a site works. And it's something he was talking about, like just the way different sites are structured, different workflows at different sites. So yeah. I feel like, I'm always like excited by people new to the field and like up and coming stuff. But then I'm always like, man, you got your work cut out for you. There's like a lot to learn and it just takes a lot of exposure. And I really think if we're going to get like good solutions, it's probably going to take people who actually know what the hell they're like talking about and dealing with. So like, yeah, the more exposure you can get, the better, but easier said than done too. I mean,
I remember like when I was younger professionally, you're like striving to be like, I want to do all these things. And like, you're trying to like force connections and you're trying to learn all this stuff, and I'm going to read up and I'm going to learn all of it. And then like, as I've gotten older, gotten more experience, you're kind of like, well, some of this you just need to, it's just time. It's just being in the space. So like getting older, kind of fucking cool. Like you just get all this experience and things. And yeah, I remember being younger and seeing like people who are more experienced being like, oh man, how did you do that? Like, what can I do to like be more like that? And it's like, well, yeah, you just gotta be old.
Yeah.
Well, experience.
I'll say like I've been, any phone calls, like when people want to connect and just talk about the industry, like I try to always take those because I feel like that is like a closest thing you can get to like a hack, is just talking to as many people as possible who are like dealing with the problem or even in the space in general. And it's something that actually I was like I never did, like when I was early on in my career, and I didn't really occur to me until, I started to get a little bit of like stuff going on LinkedIn, and then people started to reach out, and I'm like, oh, I don't know why I didn't do that. Like I should have been talking to people this whole time. Because if you got a problem, go talk to the people who deal with it, every day.
Yeah. I mean, I do outside of clinical research, I actually am pretty involved in like a lot of like women business leaders and like women in technology groups because I think it's like you will learn from other people's experiences and you can also give back. So like having mentees, for example, to like share what you learned. And again, like there's no like hack for true experience, but I think that's also how you gain experience.
Yeah,
Which I think is just, I don't know, important.
I agree. I mean, wish there were more formal channels for it for sites. I mean, I've got multiple text chains and stuff with people, who are always checking in and asking questions and whatnot. LinkedIn's about as close as it gets, I guess. There's a lot of shocking amount of research professionals like on LinkedIn.
So, and I think that's actually a really interesting commentary because when I was working at Haystack in the recruitment space, a big chunk of the team actually came from more like the value-based care and insurance side of things, like risk adjustment. And when I was talking about like, hey, like this is what we need to do from like a marketing strategy perspective, like LinkedIn is a big piece of it, and this is what we're doing. And I remember talking to the CEO and he's like, what do you mean LinkedIn? And like our head of products, like, I haven't even updated my persona to be part of it. And like they were like in that space, much less adopted, much less used. And people are like kind of like, yeah, I don't really need this, don't want it. And I was like, it is weirdly prevalent.
Oh, dude.
Trials and life sciences space.
To be clear, if I didn't work in this space, I would absolutely have nothing to do with LinkedIn because it is cringeworthy and terrible most of the time. Like there are good discussions on there if you like kind of curate your feed in a good way, like if you're smart about it, but geez, dude.
So, but here's the thing. Like I always thought it was just like very heavily weighted to clinical trials space and life sciences space because that's where I'm at and that's who my connections are. And so I thought, maybe we're in this like echo chamber because that's the industry I'm in. So that's what I'm going to see on my LinkedIn, which makes sense.
Sure.
And so I didn't necessarily quite realize that like naively that maybe this isn't all industries and like some industries aren't at all plugged in to this. And like there's ones you expect not to be like actual doctors or like teachers, like those types of things you wouldn't expect necessarily.
Even then, there's some actual doctors on there for sure.
Well, but are they doctors that are involved in clinical research or just like practicing doctors?
I mean, both, a little bit of both. But yeah, I mean, I get your broader point though. Yeah,
but then I mean, I don't know. Then to hear people being like, "Oh yeah, we don't use that at all." Like, what? Why would you even consider this? Like in like a giant, more business centric field of like insurance.
I mean, LinkedIn is kind of a joke. I mean, frankly, again, it's like I would not go out and tell people like, yeah, check me out on LinkedIn. Like I'm not gonna ever say that. I guess I'm saying it right now, sort of in a way, but it's not particularly cool. But again, it's oddly there's a lot of like decent.
What would you? Would you be like, check me out on Insta? Like what?
I don't know. It's just I don't have any. Like I'm not active on any social media except for LinkedIn. Embarrassingly, so I would just be like, I guess I would be like, here's my phone number, text me or call me. Like otherwise, you're not gonna find me on anything. I guess YouTube.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, I agree. I think what I saw the other day, like there's 3 phases of like wealth, and it was like no LinkedIn, no LinkedIn. Like how successful and wealthy you are.
The curve. Yeah, makes sense. Today's April 28th. It's National Superhero Day. Do you have a favorite superhero?
So I think it kind of depends on when we're talking about superheroes because there's a pretty like broad spectrum. Obviously, there's DC and Marvel, but then you also have like all the other ones. I'd say like I'm not like super into superheroes.
Yeah, I'm not either. I've actually like I will. Okay, I have a 6-year-old son, so I've watched like some, but like I will not watch a superhero movie, dude. I don't want to watch a superhero movie.
See, I've watched them all.
You.
They're fine. Like, I mean, it's like, again, it's not like one that I'm gonna be like running
They
to
just they
watch,
just
but
feel like ridiculous cash grabs. Like it's not like
mm,
it's just like this is like the top tier of cinema. Like that's what they're cranking out superhero movies every 6 months. Like no, I don't want to watch that, dude.
arguably it's easy content too because it's already been written. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah, I mean,
it's not like particularly novel. I have to say, like, if I'm talking about superheroes, I don't know. I kind of like X-Men vibes. Like, I would probably go like a Wolverine type
yeah,
character
that's fair.
is probably mine, but that also is because you know, not I'll get down with some Hugh Jackman.
Fair. That's fair enough.
So
I like
there's that.
Wolverine like when I was a kid, and that's when I stopped liking superheroes. When I stopped being a kid.
I also like the Catwoman type vibe, like the powerful female superheroes. That's like very on brand for what I would be into.
That's fair.
And I
can
guess
see that.
Catwoman's technically like hero / villain, I guess.
I don't what was because that was like a big movie back in the day, right?
Yeah, like Halle Berry. I mean,
Yeah.
also like a character from comics also.
Yeah, again, not really into comics either, so I'm sort of a stick in the mud on the whole superhero thing. Today is also Clean Comedy Day, so
Oh, fuck that.
let's keep it clean. I knew you were gonna do that. So predictable.
I know.
Great Poetry Reading Day, National Blueberry Pie Day. I'm a big fan of that.
Honestly, I'm not the biggest fruit pie fan.
Well, we can just stop this podcast right now. You're wrong. It's the best pie there is.
No, like banana cream, those types of pies. Like I much prefer that as opposed to like.
What do you think a banana
blueberry.
is?
Well, no, but it's different than like a traditional like cherry, blueberry, apple pie. Like different vibe for sure.
That's fair enough, but it's still fruit flavored pie. School Bus Driver Appreciation Day. So shout out to school bus drivers.
Do your kids take the bus?
No, unfortunately. I had to take the bus as a child, but they do not. Maybe they should. But today is also National Franklin Day, apparently. So shout out to my 6-year-old Franklin.
What does it say, Frank? Like, what does it mean? Like for people named Franklin? Is it for like something specific?
That's what it appears to be. It's the unofficial holiday is your time to celebrate your favorite Franklin. And the history, I'm not going to go into the history of the name Franklin. But for whatever reason, it's that day.
Well, I used to ride the bus to Franklin Elementary School. Back in the day.
Double up.
Tie it together.
Hey, what up, star name -N1L on YouTube? Appreciate some engagement from YouTube because again, it's weird. Like if we've gotten more YouTube comments lately than we have in a while.
Well, maybe LinkedIn hears you
talking smack about it.
Yeah,
fair enough. We didn't have a lot to talk about today. I do want to talk about Walgreens. There were some rumors floating around. There's now at least one article about some potential changes upcoming with Walgreens. And I guess because it's really just speculation at this point, like I'm more curious, like sort of re-examining, more specifically why retail pharmacy like hasn't panned out like as a very viable option for clinical trials. I mean,
who's left in the game, right? Like CVS kind of bailed. Walmart never really got into it. Kroger dabbled and didn't.
Yeah. Again, we saw a bunch of announcements, and actually, I'll link it. Dan Schell did write an article. I swear Dan Schell is not paying me to read his articles. It seems like I bring him up all the time, but
a little
it's hard to find people who are writing about like topical kind of broad topics in the space. So
quite frankly, that is why I do very much appreciate the work that Dan Schell, clinical leader, and other publications like that do when it is just writing and journalism, where it's not so much content. I'll be like, oh, I found something cool. And then you read it and you're like, oh, this is just a marketing blog.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So Dan, the check goes out to Note to File LLC. But anyways, yeah, there was Walgreens, CVS, Walmart, Kroger all announced, something clinical research related, it seemed.
Yeah.
But again, we haven't heard much word. I mean, CVS obviously came out pretty hot, it seemed like, and then shut down pretty quickly.
Well, and that was like the general sentiment when that happened, is that they tried to go too broad too quickly. And they're like, great, we have this network, we're gonna blast it out and like do all of these sites, all of these trials, which again, you're trying to boil the ocean or whatever stupid corporate speak you want to say.
3 years ago. They've been out of the game now longer than they were in clinical trials. So it's about 2 years that they launched, and then in 2023, and they were completely out by the end of 24. Walmart, we don't really know. I never really heard anything. They shut down a bunch of their health clinics, which I believe they were going to try to build into that infrastructure, for research. Kroger, I don't know. Apparently they launched a study. I haven't really heard much from them since then.
Yeah.
That was 2023, I believe, as well. Walgreens had, I guess, debatably the most success. I mean, didn't they get a big grant?
Yeah, they got the BARDA grant. Mm-hmm. They got the BARDA grant. They're running. They were successfully running trials, as far as I'm aware. Like they have. I mean, they have enough infrastructure where they have different technology systems in place. They have active protocols that they're enrolling on. Like for all intent and purposes, they were successful. But I think when you talk about, they also went through their PE acquisition a year ago. Is that about right?
I believe that's correct. Do you think, or how much of an impact do you think like the PE acquisition had or could have to do with their clinical trials, either abandoning trials or kind of changing their strategy?
I mean, I would be hard pressed to buy that it isn't affected by it. Yeah. Like, what would this have happened regardless? Dunno, right? Like, and I think that's where it comes down to when we watched CVS shutter it, the other ones not really do much with it. Like, I think it comes down to the fact, like, yeah, even if you're successfully running trials, that doesn't necessarily mean the margins are going to be there to sustain it at a level that these companies are used to seeing, right? Like, even if you're like saying we're making millions on it, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be, the juice is going to be worth the squeeze for this type of organization.
Yeah. Well, I think it too, you start to think about, because I don't know, I saw a lot of things thrown out because like they were at one point talking about having their pharmacists be like on DOAs, which I mean, I don't know, man. Everything I read about the life of a pharmacist in a retail pharmacy sounds miserable. I feel like, and they have trouble keeping pharmacists, like from the way I understand. So that seems
staff in general
already tough.
A thing where like staff in general at these retail phaRmacies, not just pharmacists, but like techs and all of that. Like, so now you're trying to add CRCs to the mix, which are notoriously difficult to obtain.
I have to wonder why they don't essentially become recruitment vendors, or spin off like a some kind of recruitment service by which, because I mean, if you think about it, I mean, yes, they have a lot of pharmacy data, presumably more data than we probably all are comfortable with them having.
But they have to have a significant amount of data. They have diagnoses. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like they even have at some semblance a way you could get at compliance too, because who's refilling their prescriptions? They also have like consumer trust, right? Like if like from Walgreens, CVS, any of these organizations, you just click through.
Yeah, but to what degree do they have that much trust? I mean, I remember when this was all launching and people talked about how much like especially the pharmacist and relationship, and I'm like, dude, I don't know. I don't give a shit where my
Okay,
medicine comes from as long as it's,
there are
what it
2
is.
separate conversations there, though. Like, there's people like us who are reasonably healthy
Yeah, that's
adults
fair.
who we go and
Fair.
get an antibiotic prescription at Walgreens, when I have an infection, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I have 0 relationship with my pharmacist. I think that actually becomes, like, the community pharmacy becomes actually, like, and maybe I'm just bought into some of these community pharmacy groups who've pitched this, but, like, it is their, like, it's small mom and pop community-based pharmacies in generally more underserved populations where that becomes their, like, hub. Like, that's their healthcare provider that they, and, like, if you're constantly getting prescriptions filled and you're a very medicated person, you're gonna have more of a relationship. So I think there actually is a semblance of something there. I don't think it's at the scale where it's gonna be meaningful and impactful. Like, I think it helps access diverse populations. I think it truly does help for those underserved communities who don't have big trust in healthcare, period. Maybe the local pharmacist is the closest they have if they're getting really medicated individuals. Um, but I do think the Walgreens and CVS in the situations of, like, larger, more like vaccine type trials, I would absolutely be like, oh yeah, I'll do that. Like, I'll sign the form. I know
Well,
Walgreens, I'm
and
gonna do it,
yeah, that's
right?
because you're probably, I mean, going there to get a flu shot anyway. You're going there to get,
Right.
that's, yes, I think if they, well, I don't know, again, the BARDA stuff was at least vaccine related. I don't know the details of it, but
Well, now's
again,
not a
some of
super hot
those,
time to be doing vaccine
well, I
research.
was going to say, then you look at, like, I believe, was it a Pfizer study that, or
Yeah. But
everyone's struggling. They just shut down like a
yeah.
bunch of, or at least one big program. So yeah, that makes it, timing makes it a little bit tough to do vaccine, I guess. But yeah, again, it's interesting. But and to your other point, like, don't we still seen some, at least, again, you can't necessarily believe everything you read, but there's at least some community pharmacy organizations that are, integrating in the clinical trial space that seem to be having some success.
But again, I think when we classify success, what you would classify success at your site is probably very different than these large mega corporations would classify as success.
Well, I mean, yes, and I think that probably has a little bit to do with why some of these companies, like, from the outside looking in, you're like, oh, clinical trials, that's a big market, bunch of money to be made here. And then if you try to be a site, you're like, oh, wait, this sucks and it's really hard. And actually, we don't really make that much money, at least not for a company like Walgreens who's making
Right.
billions or whatever. For me, yes, a small site, you make a million, a couple $1 million. You're like, hey, hell, this is great. We're in
Mhm.
great shape. I would imagine even if you make tens of millions, maybe $100 million at a Walgreens, you're like, "Yeah, so what? Like, that's a rounding error for us. Like, we're
Yeah.
not. It's not. It's giving us a lot of liability without necessarily bringing in a ton of at least monetary value.
Yeah. And I think, but that's where it comes into, like, from a recruitment perspective, I think there is a ton of value in these organizations playing in that space. Um, which maybe they could monetize, I'm sure, right? Like, trying to get certain contracts to sort of serve that to sponsors, like
I mean, I don't
monetizing
know
that
why
piece
they
of it.
couldn't
But
just, again. I'd spin off a whole recruitment company, man. I would love to get referrals from a local
yeah,
Walgreens or CVS because at least I know some kind of prescription is
they're engaged in their
being filled
healthcare at
there.
some
Yeah,
level.
yeah. There's something happening there that would make it, give you more information than you have about a lot of patients coming in off the street, or even sometimes in the medical records that are completely feel made up sometimes. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I guess we'll still have to wait and see. There doesn't seem to be any kind of
Official.
official announcement. I've actually always been curious. Like, I've never talked to somebody who has worked in a Walgreens as like a CRC. I didn't talk to some of the people at like a higher level, but like,
Mhm.
who are the boots on the ground, like doing the work? So, if you're a CRC that worked at Walgreens or works, shout out. I want to talk to you. Come on the
Well, I
show.
think
You probably can't. You probably
probably
can't.
probably can't.
Unless you've been laid off because they're closing down research, in which case, then come talk to us.
Yeah, well, I think that's, like, I think there's, like, a Reddit post now about this, like, Walgreens,
Hmm.
CVS situation. I think those are, like, the key things that come up, right? Like, AP margins, juice wasn't worth the squeeze, even though they were potentially successful. I think the concept of, like, and this is where like even PE investment into site networks, I think gets caught up in clinical research looks like this green space, right? On paper, and it's like, oh, this is this hard. And it doesn't have the same payoff.
I mean, we'll see. So far, it hasn't seemed to, like, the bubble hasn't burst, at least. I guess we haven't seen any like major acquisitions for like the
Yeah.
site network, but like, I mean, shit, I get emails every day that are like, what acquisition? Look at this,
Yeah.
potential offer, blah blah blah. So it seems like they're still trying to buy up sites. I just don't know what the end game becomes at that point.
Right. Well, and then I think, I don't know, like, and then like the staff piece of it was the other point of it. Like the actual just like maintaining the operations of it was just a lot more work than expected.
Yeah, that's how I feel every day. It is hard. It is hard, and I think it's hard. I don't know though. I'm going to guess there's more free agent talent right now than there ever has been with all the layoffs that have happened
Wow.
over the last like couple of years. Like finding people is one thing, but then keeping them busy, and
Yeah.
not just busy, but in revenue generating
Yeah.
capacities, which is a problem across any type of research site that you might work at.
Well, I've talked to a couple of folks recently who are like looking in job spaces, like who have come from sites and are like, hey, is Viva hiring? Like it's really hard in the site space right now for me to find a job. So they're looking for like
See,
tangential places.
that is hard for me to believe. I feel like there's always, well, sites always need people.
Well, and I
That's
also think
different between needing people and being able to hire people though too.
well, and also like what role do we need? Like, do you need CRCs? Which, and again, kind of gets to the point where I think talked about this with Sphera a little bit, but there's this like sweet spot of experience where folks don't want people who are too experienced.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what that experience is. Again, like I mean, I just put out a job posting for a coordinator, like with cardiology experience specifically. And I've gotten some already. First of all, I put out, I mean, this is like Indeed, so I don't know how much of this is like bots or whatever, but like I put a job posting out and literally I had like 30 people apply within like half an hour. Like
That's what I'm saying. People are
super
looking
weird.
for jobs. Like,
But like, someone who's worked at the local university cancer center, I may not want to hire that person, even though like on paper, that's good
why?
experience. Because the way those places run is very specific. And oftentimes they're doing a role that's very different than what I would consider a clinical research role or a clinical research coordinator role. Not always, but like, again, to go back to earlier, we're talking about the sort of lack of a standard across how these places run. A coordinator could be somebody who just does a patient visit. Could be somebody who does everything. They could do their own recruitment. They could do their own regulatory. They could do all their data entry. There are some that don't do data entry at all because it's a whole different department that does those things.
Yeah.
So you can end up with somebody who's like a research coordinator, but their knowledge is extremely limited to one thing that a coordinator elsewhere might do more broadly. So yeah, it's very interesting.
Would you rather have someone who has very specific narrow experience or no experience at all?
That's a good question. It depends. I think the answer is it depends. Sometimes there have been times when I've definitely been like, I would prefer someone with no experience.
I mean,
and most of it though really comes down to like the personality of the person because of that specific person. Like if you're, regardless of your experience, if you're dynamic and can sort of roll with the punches and pick things up early, like I don't care if you got narrow experience, no experience, or all the experience in the world, you're probably going to be good at your job.
Yeah. I mean,
but that's not so easy to suss out, and
you have to talk to the person to make that happen too. Like you can't just see it on paper necessarily at all. It is interesting though, because that's like Epic's hiring mantra. That's like they're notorious for hiring fresh grads, right? So like you're proven on paper with X whatevers. They have a very intensive interview process. But then they don't want to hire people with too much experience because then you've learned bad habits. And so their goal is basically like, we're going to get you fresh. We're going to train you how we want you.
Yeah, they got that idea from me. So little known fact.
Judy called you out.
Pretty much. I mean, she's texting me right now. Always asking her for advice. All right. I don't know. I'm curious to see I want to know what the Walgreens thing is. Again, I feel like a dick because I've been like a little bit skeptical about, retail pharmacies involvement from the beginning, of course, which people are like, no, don't be negative. It's a good thing. And I don't disagree.
It is a good thing.
I think it is. If it could work and work well, then it would be a great thing. But
I mean, the amount of access that could provide to clinical trials is massive. There's a Walgreens on every corner. Like people, you know what I mean? Like
I guess where it leaves me though is, why is this so either unattractive or undoable for these companies that are like, they should be able to do whatever the hell they want, like more or less. At least they should be able to run research sites. It's not rocket science.
Well, that's what I'm saying though.
It is challenging. So is it something broken with the system, or is it that something broken with the companies? You know what I'm saying?
And I would argue it's the latter, because like from everything I understood, and granted, very limited, so like framing it within that context, but like the Walgreens clinical research program was fairly successful from how I understood it. They had a pipeline, they were running trials, they were figuring it out. My guess is that the dollars didn't match and the mission wasn't important enough from a business perspective to say we're increasing access to clinical trials, because Walgreens is like, you can do like some geographic stuff, which is wild, of like people's like everyone has a Walgreens X amount of distance from them. Like you could potentially make a huge impact. And so it could be really meaningful. But when you think about, again, like what's making money and to what margins are they making money?
Yeah, that's fair.
It didn't float.
Then again, I wonder, like, what does that mean, or if anything, for all of the private equity consolidation?
Yeah.
Is it going to end up with the same, like, I mean, we can make some money, but it's not really enough to be that worthwhile for.
It's not that spreadsheet I made based on my projected enrollments and
right.
Yeah.
Well,
I would argue yes, but
time will tell.
What do I know?
No comment. All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming, checking out another episode. Trying to get some guests booked here over the next few months. I know I say that. I feel like probably every episode. But eventually, you don't have to just listen to us bullshit for 20 to 30 minutes at a time, and we'll get some more folks on.
Yeah, we have a couple folks I think lined up and just getting logistics sorted, so it'll be good.
Yep. We'll have Judy on pretty soon.
You wanna just shoot her a quick text?
Yeah. I'll get
I mean, Epic is launching a CTMS.
That is true, actually. Yeah. If you work for Epic and you want to talk about your research module and CTMS and all this stuff, I want to hear.
I would love some details on that too.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure you would. All right. Thanks, guys. See you Thursday.
See ya.
Later. Thanks for listening to Note to File. We're committed to continuing to bring you independent and unfiltered coverage of the clinical trial industry.
We want to talk about what you want to hear. So if you have something on your mind, hit us up at notetofilepodcast.com.